This is the AM News. Details now. Starting with, there was drama in Parliament when Minority Leader Afenyo-Markin attempted to use the dispatch box to ask a question standing in his name. That attempt was fiercely rejected by the Majority Leader, Mahama Yariga, who argued that the Minority Leader has always tried to take excess liberties in Parliament and will not be allowed. Listen to what happened.
The ministry intends to ensure that this policy translates into value addition.
Honorable Minority Leader.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Hold it. Let's hear the Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, you are setting a precedent.
Once he's insisting.
You are setting a precedent.
Once he's insisting.
Can you have the Minority Leader show us which standing order he stands on to ask questions from the dispatch table? Which standing order? Because our standing orders are clear. At question time, the Speaker shall call successively each member in whose name a question stands on the order paper. The member shall rise and ask the question that stands in the name of the member on the order paper. Mr. Speaker, you should show me the basis for he always wanting to go and ask his questions from there, when every other member, including myself, I stand here to ask questions. If he should go to the dispatch box to ask a question, if I have follow-up questions, will I also go to the dispatch box to ask the follow-up questions? Mr. Speaker, we cannot allow this. This is not the practice. I have been in this house for so many years. I have seen leaders. I have seen minority leaders. This is the first time I see a minority leader wanting to ask questions from the dispatch box. You've been here with us for all these years. You tell me, name one minority leader that stood at the dispatch box to ask questions. One. Name one, Mr. Speaker. Name just one, so that I'll be satisfied and I'll sit. Name one minority leader who will go to the dispatch box to ask questions. Why? Why are we overindulging him?
Well, so that's in Parliament. And the Minister for Energy and Green Transition, John Abdullahi Jinapor, has announced temporary disruption of power supply across the country on Sunday as gas suppliers E&I turn off their valves for rehabilitation. It is part of the company's measures to increase gas production to 270 millimeter scarf. According to the minister, the increase in gas production is of gain to the energy sector, despite the temporary inconvenience. And Mr. Jinapor was speaking at a groundbreaking ceremony for the reconstruction of the 161 kilovolt Ahomaso to Kumasi transmission line.
This Sunday, E&I would turn off their valve temporarily to increase gas production to about 270 mm scarf. That is good news. It means that we are stabilizing the power sector. But let me also use the opportunity, members of the press, please help us to spread this information. Because the plant will be turned off for that short period within the day for maintenance works, we are likely to experience some interaction or interruption of power. Please bear with us. It is for good purpose. It is to enable us stabilize the power. We've done all the scenarios, we've done all the analysis. And based on the advice from the engineers, I've directed that we do not attempt to run those plants on liquid fuels for that short period, because it involves changing nozzles, it involves a lot of work. And so if you are going to be off for about 4 to 6 hours, you don't risk it transitioning to liquid fuels only to come back to gas. We are working around the clock to minimize any potential adverse impact during that period.
The minister has further announced works to improve the tariff setting mechanism for the power sector.
As part of efforts to bring about overall efficiency, we are working to involve the private sector in the distribution sector. And I want to encourage Ghanaian entrepreneurs to take an active interest in this project or program so that Ghanaians can continue to own the commanding heights of the economy for all the support is given to this sector. We are working to improve the tariff setting mechanism in collaboration with the PURC to bring about transparency and efficiency and digitize the sector.
Away from the energy sector, stakeholders, including academics, civil society groups and the military, are urging decisive action to tackle the challenges hindering the fight against illegal small-scale mining in Ghana. The goal is to mitigate the negative effects on rural communities and safeguard the country's water bodies and forest reserves. Elsie Texan has more in this report.
Growing calls for a state of emergency in Ghana's forest reserves are overshadowed by concerns over state actors undermining anti-illegal mining efforts. At the launch of his book, State Capture in the Militarized Fight Against Illegal Small-Scale Gold Mining in Ghana, Professor Jasper Ayalazuno urged the government to scrutinize state actors' influence on small-scale mining, particularly in rural communities.
Civil society are doing the right thing by calling for this state of emergency. And this, like I was saying in my speech, the present government have to show that this state capture is not going to continue. There is no security threat more than this. And once this is happening, you declare a state of emergency and then you move the military in. Deal with those elite class people and make sure you clean the place.
Experts, including Francis Opoku of the Ghana Association of Small-Scale Miners, advocated for advanced technology to curb illegal mining.
Government's involvement in terms of providing finance, providing technology, in terms of even giving them mineable land to mine on, it's not done. So all these things, once we are able to move from, always going on raid against these illegal miners to transforming it, giving them what it takes to make a scientific mining, to approach mining in a scientific way, we can easily move them away from what they are doing bad to do the right thing.
Nana Dr. Brigadier General Albert Edu, retired, on his part, highlighted challenges in declaring states of emergency.
Some people are saying that the state of emergency should be limited to the particular area that the Galamsey is taking place. Yes, it's true. It's one of the actions the government can take. But if you consider how it's going to affect or impact on the economic activities of those people who are not involved or directly involved in the Galamsey and they have farms and all those things. What kills the military's morale is that the military will go in, capture some of these champagne and excavators. The judiciary, I will not blame them because they have to go around the legalities. But at the end, you see that these excavators will go back.
Without strong political will and accountability, the fight against illegal mining may falter, leaving rivers polluted, forests devastated, and rural economies broken. For Joy News, Elsie Turkson.
Peace and governance analyst at United Development Program, Melody Azinim, has emphasized the importance of peace in the development of the country. He asserted that if there is no peace, there is no way there will be any kind of development, as the situation drives away investors, which will be a drawback to the country's development. Melody Azinim was speaking at the two-day Private Sector Investment Opportunity Forum held in Wa, and our Joy News Upper West Regional Correspondent, Rafiq Salam, reports.
The National Development Planning Commission, NDPC, in collaboration with the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, has developed an investment strategy toolkit aimed at supporting 8 districts across the regions in northern Ghana, including the Upper West region. Among the selected metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies MDAs benefiting from this initiative in the Upper West region are Sasala West and West West districts. The toolkit is designed to help these MDAs identify their comparative advantages, attract investments, and boost domestic revenue mobilization. The Peace and Governance Analyst at UNDP, Melody Azenem, spoke of the objectives of the project.
So the project seeks to ensure that women and young people in particular are actively involved in decision-making and peace-building processes, but ultimately also ensuring that we have peace and development within our communities, more specifically to the targeted communities that the project is being implemented.
She observed that peace is critical and a benchmark to wooing investments.
Peace is important. You know, if there's no peace, there's no way there would be any kind of development. Because once there's violence, I mean, there's shooting, there's burning of houses, everybody's running away. So peace is critical to our development, you know, as a country and globally. We can all attest to the fact that it is because of insecurities that we are having people coming into our countries, you know. So that tells you how important peace is to our own development.
Charles Kongolo is a principal planning analyst who represented the Director General of the National Development Planning Commission.
The commitment to spatial equity is why we are all here today. For too long, economic opportunity has remained heavily concentrated in just a few regions and cities. Meanwhile, regions like the Upper East, Upper West, and Northeast regions that have been the focus of the peace-building projects are endowed with rich agricultural potential, artisanal heritage, renewable energy resources, and resilient human capital, particularly in the youth and women.
Some participants shared their thoughts on the program.
I appreciate. I came here and I learned a lot. The program was good for me because of my business, but I will say, so I used shea butter and produce shower gel and shampoo.
This is an interesting program. I think planning is very important in whatever you are going to do. And looking at the presentation the districts are making, one can comfortably look at the area you think you can also fit in.
Reporting for Dwayne News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
The Vice-Chancellor of the University of Education, Winneba, Professor Stephen Jobson Mitchell, has lauded the Center for Research, Culture and Creative Arts for championing grant-funded implementation research aimed at rolling out pension and apprenticeship schemes for creatives and artisans in Ghana. Speaking at a policy dialogue on pension and apprenticeship programs hosted by the university, Professor Mitchell urged stakeholders to invest in youth empowerment and build a nation that values and nurtures creativity.
The policy dialogue held at the University of Education, Winneba, was a collaborative event between the School of Creative Arts and the Center for Research, Culture and Creative Arts, and was on the theme, Pension Schemes for Ghanaian Creatives and Artisans and Creating a Sustainable National Apprenticeship Program. Osuenyi Kweku Esel spearheads the Center for Research, Culture and Creative Arts.
As a center, research is our hallmark. We research, and our research should be relevant to the nation and contribute to the development of creative. So annually we come out with reports on creatives. One of it is report on TVET and national affairs, and then another is reports on the creative, if you like, what is happening to creatives in whatever spheres that they are. So with this one, we focus on pension schemes based on the happenings, the media engagement that they do, that in terms of, in their retirement, they are not able to, support themselves and they have to beg for alms. And it's a challenge that we need to look at, nationally and create legislation that is going to do that, because other countries, as we saw in this presentation, have done that successfully since, the 60s.
The Vice-Chancellor of the University of Education, Winneba, Professor Stephen Jobson Mitchell, in his address, shared his appreciation for the stakeholders' contributions to encourage creativity.
In this context, I recommend the Center for Research in Culture and Creative Arts unwavering role as a research catalyst in advancing this critical policy discourse. I appreciate your presence at this transformative national dialogue. Let us move from evidence to execution. Let us honor our artists and empower our youth through gainful employment. Let us build a Ghana where creativity is shielded from uncertainty.
Nicodemus MBD Jerry, the national coordinator of the National Apprenticeship Program, acknowledged the timeliness of the policy dialogue.
I am sure this policy dialogue has come in timely, and I will want to encourage the university and the authors and the conveners of this not to let it be a 9-day wonder. The biggest challenge in Ghana, we are able to take initiatives, but sustaining the push and the fight becomes problematic when it's difficult. Let's push on.
From Winneba, Abigail Lissel Nkoma reports for Joy News.
In a thrilling climax to the 2025 National Science and Maths Quiz Central Regional Qualifiers, all three winning schools clinched their spots with scores in the 50s, as Infantiman girls led the pack with a commanding 56 points, sealing a day marked by intensity, grit, and high-scoring brilliance. My colleague Adobia Sari tells you more in this report.
17 units. Yes. We have 2 new teams. Yes.
The final day of the 2025 Central Regional Qualifiers of the National Science and Maths Quiz ended with a powerful display of academic might, and the girls led the charge. Infantiman Girls Senior High School emerged the top scorers of the day, dazzling audiences with a commanding 56 points, the highest recorded in today's contest.
I know that our girls are good and they are going to do well. And we expect much for them. And yes, they've done it before. And yes, they are going to do more than they've done.
The school, a familiar face on the national stage, is yet to win a regional title, but the team says that's about to change.
We know we have a God who is behind us, and we know what our girls can do. And so if we meet them, we know we can beat them.
They weren't the only ones to impress. University Practice Senior High School came through with a solid 55 points, while Agri Memorial edged out Bremane Sekuma. After both schools finished round 1 neck and neck, Agri eventually pulled ahead to finish with 54 points, earning their spot among the top 3.
Simple game. We are going to give out all we have. Yeah, we are going to win all the battles. We are reaching the original. We are winning the original. We are winning it. We are winning everything. Nobody can come. And this go fight them. Everyone, we are telling everyone, let's go fight us. We don't want them. Let's go away. 35 is out here. We are winning.
Senior High School, though finishing with 43 points and missing out on the top 3, secured qualification to the Nationals as one of the best runners-up. Their performance was enough to earn them a lifeline and a shot at redemption on the big stage. With Infantiman girls eyeing their first regional title and a handful of other powerhouses in the mix, the regional championship promises to be nothing short of electrifying.
Adobia, 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 Adobia.
For Joy News, Adobia Sari.
Looks like my colleague Adobia Sari is having all the fun out there with the students. But on that note, let's get into our business update now with Samuel Kujo-Brace.
Well, let's do the business update now. And Finance Minister Dr. Tufosin is considering July 17, that is next week Thursday, as the possible date for the presentation of the mid-year budget review. This is what we have picked up from persons with knowledge of this presentation. But what could be the focus of this presentation, and has Parliament approved this date? There is more in the following Business Desk report.
We are learning that this is the proposed date and it is subjected to Parliament approval. The development should mean that the date could change in the coming days. The Finance Minister is expected to use the presentation to update the public on the revenue numbers and whether we are making any progress in meeting the half-year target. Also, what about its spending and whether government is on track with its fiscal consolidation program? Sources say the Finance Minister will also use the media review of the 2025 budget estimate to announce measures being undertaken by government to reform the current tax structures, especially when it comes to the value-added tax. It is, however, not clear for now whether the minister will be seeking approval from Parliament to spend any additional revenue that has come in.
Now, Director of the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ESA, Professor Peter Korte, says some government policies have failed due to a lack of proper research and data-driven planning. Speaking at a press conference at the head office of ESA and ahead of the Evidence of Action event, he stressed the importance of using evidence-based research to guide national development. Professor Korte called on government and policymakers to rely more on homegrown research to avoid repeating costly mistakes.
For instance, E-Levy is a typical case where if we've done background research and everything, I'm sure would have implemented E-Levy in a better way. The other tax handles that government introduces and then reverses because it didn't take research seriously. But if we do, that will be minimized. The other challenge we face with policy uptake is also to do with who funds the research. Most often, the policymakers want the research, are not prepared to fund. Look at our budget statements and tell me which budget line says research. Last I was at FAO in Rome, and the agric ministers were there, including our own agric minister, and I challenged them. I said, when you go back, look at your budget. Look at how much you are assigned to research, negligible or non-existent. In Africa, research expenditure is only 1.3% of global research expenditures.
And that's all in Business Update on the AM News. Back to you, Sweetie Abochi.
Thanks, Kojo, for bringing us Business Update. And that's a wrap for the AM News Bulletin. Coming up next, we bring you AM Sports. And in sports, we bring you this exclusive interview with Black Stars forward Mohamed Husseini on the national team's ambition and his personal targets for the season.